Welcome back to the Construction Business Blueprint YouTube channel. So today's a bit of a podcast style YouTube setting today, similar to what we've done before with one of the other clients. So today we've got Nathan, the bag of energy of Nathan, TLA Home Solutions. Nathan joined us in December 2025. So you've only been with us for about 4 months, Nathan, yeah?
Yeah, 4 months now, yeah. It's actually flew in, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all right, it always does. But to give a wee bit of context, we're going to get into it here during the conversation. But you didn't jump straight into the mentorship. We've been speaking for quite a while. We had a lot of conversations before you actually came on board. You came across from another mentorship as well. We're going to get into that. And kind of a bit of a summary from the outside looking in. Things maybe looked very different from the outside than what the reality was. And that's what we sort of uncovered when you came on board. So we're going to get into that. Like I say, when we opened the bonnet, there was a lot of blind spots. And we're going to talk about from where you'd started off there. I think you're one of the fastest guys to come through a lot of the stuff that we went through, and that's by personality, by nature. But it's amazing, to bring you on to show how quickly things can change. So in 4 months from where you were to where you are now, and again, it's only the beginning as well. So we've still, you signed up initially for the 6 months, then you ended up couple of days later, I think, signed up for a year, when you realised what was possible. So we're going to talk through a bit what's changed, what things look like in the beginning, what we done, how we achieved what we achieved, where Nathan is now, where he's going, etc., etc. So today, again, isn't about hype or what everything else. We're just going to unpack what really changed to give everybody a bit of an understanding of what goes on inside the Construction Business Blueprint. But we'll hand it over to Nathan. I'm sure you've seen Nathan on socials. He's very active on the socials. Like him or love him, but here he is, and we're going to go through his story today. So, Nathan, just sort of the first question then, before the change, when we first spoke, I know it was kind of different. What you thought maybe you came to the Blueprint for, and what ended up actually happening. It's actually a great kind of story. It's a good sort of wee run through, and it's great to have you in here. Tell me how the business felt to you at the time before, saying like November last year, before actually coming on.
Just didn't have any control on it, to be honest. There was no systems in place. It was just winging it. You know, I was able to get jobs in okay, but at the time, I had no control on the business. I didn't know. I was always falling behind. I was always working 9 o'clock, pricing jobs, and then it was just no system. It was just carnage. It was just crazy.
But you were still on paper as such doing well. You were busy.
We were doing well, yeah, but it was just doing well, and then the work was just taking over my life. I was just constantly just on the laptop nighttime. Didn't even know what was happening to the business. Didn't understand anything about business. All I knew was how to sell and how to deliver,
get the jobs done.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's the limitations of what people think is actually required in this game is get jobs, do the jobs, move on to the next thing, but there's so much more to it. What was your sort of understanding of before you started of what was involved beyond that? What did you know, or maybe what didn't you know, or what did you know when you came to me and you reached out the first time? Did you know, right, Mark, I've got this problem, or did you just know there was something wrong but didn't really know what needs fixed?
I knew there was something wrong in the business, because it's not normal to be working 14, 15 hours, but I obviously thought it was great because I love grafting. I was like, this is great, look how much hours I'm putting in. But
you're busy.
Exactly. But I was a busy fool, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I honestly didn't realise how much the business needed, the systems and everything in place.
Yeah.
I didn't realise what we needed, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk about the moment you reached out. So it took me a while to, obviously I don't try and convince anybody, but whenever I spoke to you, I suppose this is the difference between trying to give somebody a hard sell or trying to get people on inside and to work with them. But I spoke to you, I heard what you were going through. Dan was on the program, good friend of yours as well, and you seen what he was doing inside there. Maybe I knew more than you did about what you needed at the time, just from speaking to you. And I was like, Nathan, listen, I'm not trying to convince you, take it or leave it, but I know what we can do here. I know what's possible. But you were hesitant at first. So talk me through that. What made you hesitant?
It was, yeah, well, at first, even with Dan, you know, I remember Dan ringing me and he was like, I'm going to be looking for someone to help me and guide me. And I was like, right, brilliant. And obviously he found yourself. And then Dan was just ringing me going, oh, mate, I'm flying all this year. And I'm not a jealous person. I'm never jealous of anyone. I started being jealous. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I need to be Dan. And then I was like,
He'd be laughing at that.
Yeah, exactly. But I was like, kind of like, is he, is this just one of them things? Is he high at the minute? And then is it going to go drop down?
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, yes, but the investment is always a stumbling block because you have to put your money where your mouth is. You have to pay for the services and everything else.
You do, yeah, 100%. And when you think, you don't realize what you're investing in until you're actually on the program.
Yeah.
And when you don't realize, again, it's a company, you can get all of that back and everything like that, but you don't realize how much important there is actually investing in yourself and what that, where that can actually take you.
We'll talk about the investment. Obviously, you're saying about the return. So when you're investing in something tangible in construction, like a new piece of equipment or tools or a van, it's like you can physically see that.
Yeah.
Only you know the pain, the difficulty you're having, the late nights, the long days. Like there's nobody, like I always say on the calls, there's nobody cheering on the founder work. Like the founder work is quiet work, the work that you're doing on the business that brings it forward. There's nobody there waiting on that or relying on that because that's all you, and you're sort of initially getting the benefit of that, but only you know, again, the pain and suffering as such as you're going through. So
yeah, absolutely.
Whereas, when you're investing that and you're saying like, what am I really getting for this? You don't realize the return on investment until you've actually achieved it, and you go, wow, like, do you know what I mean? It was worth it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, so you were on another mentorship at the time. So what made you look elsewhere? Like, what was it that made you obviously feel that you were missing something or something else? What were you hoping would change?
Like, obviously my mindset was on point, that I wanted, as we touched back on the law of attraction and everything like that, and there was a massive subject at the minute for everyone in the manifestation and all, and you write your goals and stuff, but when you ask a universe something and you're writing it and say it does show up, how do you then manage that?
Yep.
I had, we were having massive jobs coming in and I was overwhelmed, and like you say in your podcast and stuff, like, there's no point building if your foundation's weak. Mm-hmm. And my foundations was just, it had no foundation. It was just rocking, like, and it's just like, and I was trying to build a massive skyscraper on a foundation that didn't exist.
Yeah, 100%.
So obviously, if I kept building, it's eventually just gonna fall.
Yeah.
And lucky I didn't build. I obviously then come to yourself, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, 100%. So what was the real? What if you could put a thing on it? I know you mentioned the investment. Was it maybe a bit of ego, maybe pride? What was the main reason or hesitation of actually making the leap? For a lot of people, you'd been on, mentorships or programs before. This is obviously very, very different from anything you've experienced, but you kind of knew what was possible when working with somebody or getting coached or getting mentored. So for a lot of guys, they have never, especially in our industry, they've never had any experience of that at all. But it's funny, it's interesting to hear how that's usually the main hesitation point for guys in our industry, in the construction industry, is that this is completely new territory.
Yeah.
Getting coached or mentored or anything else, and it all sounds fluffy and it all sounds like, and people see what's out there online, and a lot of it is a biggest load of bollocks. So it's interesting that you had been through a mentorship and seemingly that you kind of got some of what you wanted out of it, but you were still hesitant. So even though you knew what was possible working with somebody, what do you think was still the main hesitation factor?
I don't know. It's like all of us, like Podcast Nation lives inside us, like, do you mean? And it was just one of them things. I don't know.
I'm going to challenge you on that, right? Is it, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, I'm just going to ask you the question, because of the journey that happened there, do you think you were maybe afraid of what was going to be exposed in your business, and then you would have had to actually face that and dive into it? Or
yeah, like, to be honest, it would probably be one of them.
Look, you came to me, you're a confident guy, right? You can see you're online, socials, everything's buzzing, everything's going really well, and then essentially when we came together, I was like, right, Nathan, here's the reality.
Yeah.
And it was like, wallop.
Yeah. No, it was like, obviously, like you said, they knowing your numbers and all. Sometimes that scares business owners because they like a lot of people. Like the other day, I was just chatting to a fella in the embroidery, and he didn't know his overhead percentages, and a lot of businesses don't.
Yep.
And it's kind of I was kind of like, do I really want to know?
Correct.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, everyone should know. There's
Yep.
no point running a business blindfolded. Like,
Yeah.
so, yeah, like, I was just hesitant of, obviously, I was already on the program before, different programs. So I kind of think to myself, is it going to be one of these things? You know, is it going to be one of these ones you're just going to be listening? Is it really going to benefit me, do you know what I mean? It was.
Are things really going to change?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And is Dan telling the truth or was Dan lying?
He'll be laughing. I can't wait to hear he listens to this one. Okay, so what then tipped the decision? So obviously we spoke. What tipped the decision? And be
Like,
honest about
you
it.
have to, yeah, well, you just have to take risks in life, don't you? And
Yeah.
it's either a good risk or it's a bad risk. And bigger the risks, the bigger reward. So I just went, look, what's the worst can happen? Do you know what I mean? So I just thought, yeah, let's just go for it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to change. That's what really made me want to go for it, because I was stuck in that circle, just going round, couldn't get the right people, and it was just going round and round and round. And I knew if I didn't obviously change myself and ask for help, then I would just be probably still stuck in that position.
Yeah.
Or
Absolutely,
probably
absolutely.
company would have been gone.
Yep. 100%. And again, you'd put in the graft, you'd put in the hard work, but again, like you touched on at the start, you were driving blind. You'd kind of done it ass about face, which a lot of guys do, which is, the work you were doing was bringing in more work, more volume, but then how do you deal with that volume? You know what I mean? So
That's what kind of made me as well. We had a project down in Limerick, and it was just chaos.
Yeah.
You
What
know,
size of a project was that in terms of value?
It was only, what was it, 9 houses, so it would only been about, I think it was 56,000.
But what was that compared to the kind of jobs you starting off with in business?
That would have been a big one.
Yeah.
But again, no systems in place. It was just chaos. It was just deliveries. It was just mental. And I said to myself, I was just like, this has to change because this is mental. And I already knew I had another job going ahead, another bigger job. And I was like, I need to have systems in place now, or we need to change. Otherwise, this is just, stress causes chaos, and, it just makes you, like, it just, stress can cause just craziness. I mean, you just go nuts, and then in the end, you're just going to quit.
Yeah. And how was, like, we're talking about the business a lot, but how was that stress and everything you were going through affecting you personally outside of the business even?
Yeah, in my personal life, like, it was just crazy. Like I remember when Lindsay joined on board, and it was like £500 a week I was giving her, and it was like she was getting things wrong, but that was because of me. I didn't have the right things in place, and I was just throwing books at the office wall and all, and I was just going mental. And that isn't me, like, do you know what I mean? Launching books.
You're an honest guy.
I am, mate. I am. But that's what I'm saying. Like, imagining if I want about 300 staff working for me. That would be mental. I'd be running out of books.
Yeah, that's what you wanted. Yeah.
I'd be throwing them everywhere. Like,
You need to work in a library for fun.
I know, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So again, we touched on that, and we'll get into that in more detail. It's just about the early days in the program. So when you first came on board, obviously there was a lot of skepticism. You were concerned. You kind of didn't know what to expect, because it's hard, especially for me. I can sort of see what we can do with you. I can kind of see when you came on board, what surprised you. So did you come into this thinking, right, Mark, this is what I need? And then when the conversation with me, how was that different? Talk me through the journey of when we had the onboarding, the conversations we had. How did you think it was going to go compared to how it went?
It was like when the first day I arrived in the office, you had a lot of time for me. You listened to me, and then you put everything, like, my brain's nuts, like,
yes.
Having ADHD isn't great, like, so it just goes mental.
Yeah.
So I have really good ideas, but then the only thing I lack in is putting that idea to plan. And without a plan and strategy, it's just it's nothing. You know what I mean? It's just in the wind, like. So having you in the office, showing me everything what we need, and giving us what we need to do right now. It was the invoice trackers, the job trackers, and the company folder. And you know, and you were talking us right through it. You were very like, you know, your patience with us, like you were guiding us through everything. You were telling us where we are, and then you were asking us for what our turnover was, you know, to get the right numbers for us. So it just felt really like as if we were listened to and you had time for us.
Yeah.
And it wasn't one of these ones, thank you, thanks for the money, now see you later.
Yeah.
Go join the queues as such. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I was actually just saying to Ryan at the start, like a lot of guys joining recently, you know, through the webinar and other things, and the business plans. Obviously, there's a lot of depth that goes into that. Like, were you surprised again about the level of depth? Like, did you have all the answers? Like, so obviously, I was asking you certain things. You know, you didn't have them. You know,
didn't even know.
Again,
half of the stuff I didn't know.
Yeah,
and like it was crazy to actually. I think every business person. I was actually only saying this to Lindsay the other day. Every business person needs to go on a program like this because, you know, it's only so much we get taught in school. We didn't get taught this in school. I mean, I'm sitting here with no GCSEs, like, and that's most business people as well. So
especially in construction,
everyone needs a coach in life, like, to get them where they need to be. So
yeah, 100%. So when you didn't have those answers, how did we then? Obviously, then I had to, you know, teach you those things. I had to show you those things. And again, you're the kind of guy who, whether it's the ADHD 9 times out of 10, that's what's down to for you. But it's just you wanted everything done tomorrow.
Yeah, like I hate waiting, so
yeah.
I wanted to just basically have all these systems and have them all working by the next day. But that wasn't, you know, that's never going to happen.
Well, that was a huge challenge for both of us because my biggest task with you was trying to slow you down.
I know.
And you didn't like it, but the reality was, like, I could have sent you out. I could have went, yeah, Nathan, you know, run away at it. But we had a lot of tough conversations. Yeah. And fair play to you, you took it on the chin. Like I'm very direct with people, but like, so talk through those conversations. Obviously, you're the kind of guy who you wanted everything done yesterday. You were jumping at every opportunity. You were getting sidetracked. You were getting distracted. You know, talk us through that and how that person then to this person now, essentially.
Yeah, I was just like, do you know what it reminds me of? You know when a kid just wants to run and then you have him on the reins? That's what it felt like with you. You were just like holding me and I just wanted to run and I couldn't because you were holding me back as such. But that's a good thing, like, because if you just made me just like, you know, just go loose. It was like even with, obviously we touched base there on the, you know, reining me in and getting me where we needed to be. Yeah. And then in the space of 3 weeks, wherever we had everything running and it was perfect. Yeah. Whereas even with the rebrand as well, like, I was literally, I wanted that rebrand done tomorrow. Yes. I wanted everything done tomorrow, like, and I wanted social media change. I wanted this, and you know, if it wasn't for you, like, I think it would have just went shit, to be honest, because like you had that mapped out plan perfectly. The execution plan, everything just went how it should have been. Yep. And again, I would have just went, here guys, today we are TLA Home Solutions. Yes, we were TLA Glazing, you know, that quick. Yeah. But with you kind of helped me and guided me and put a massive plan together, and we executed it perfect.
And that was after we had already went in and done the plan. So obviously anyone that comes into the mentorship, or when we work together, we go in, we do a deep business plan. That plan's either for 6 months or 9 months, 6 months or a year initially. We done the plan with you. You came on board. You rang me about the was it days
that
later
plan's
or something?
Been changed loads.
But you rang me and you were like, right, you're in for 6 months, and then I don't know what made you flick the switch. I think was it when you seen what was possible. There was obviously a moment where you had that skepticism, and you joined for 6 months, and then you rang me. I think it was a week later, and you were like, I'm in for the year.
Yeah, because like,
what was it?
It was when I opened everything up, and it was like loads and loads of videos on everything, and I was looking at myself, I was like, I can't do this in 6 months. Like, you know, there's no chance. Like, I'm either going to do it right or I'm going to do it wrong. And I already just paid the money for the investment in myself and in the business. So I thought to myself, like, look, you know, I need to be in this for a year realistically to make this happen and change as a person and become a founder and become that person I've always wanted to be. Yeah,
so obviously when you initially joined, that sort of skepticism was holding you back. You were still a wee bit hesitant. But then when you sat with me, we went through everything. I opened up what we needed to do, and you'd seen how involved maybe I was as well. You thought to yourself, no, I'm in the right place.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that when I was in the office that day and you know mapped everything out for us, and then when I seen all the systems, I was just like, yeah, this is going to work for me.
Yeah.
And like I said, the proof's in the pudding with Dan. Then I started realizing Dan wasn't just bullshitting; he was actually telling the truth. So, and I was like, you know what? If Dan is now flying, then it's time it's time for me to fly now as well with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to listen to him saying, mate, I'm doing amazing all this year, because now I'm ringing him saying I'm doing amazing. So
yeah, okay,
the shoes on the other foot now.
Fair enough. So yes, those tough conversations, was it uncomfortable for you? Obviously we had you wanted to do everything yesterday. I say slowing you down is probably the wrong word, but we done things in a much more, everything I do is based on metrics, method. There has to be a plan, a strategy. You kind of just wanted to go. I think you actually used the words that you'd heard from somebody else, or how you were taught before, which was, act first and ask questions later, or figure it out later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and that's completely the opposite of,
and I've
of
learned
what
that.
I do.
And do you know what? I've just felt like I've wasted about I don't know how many. I've literally read everything of Grant Cardone,
Yeah.
and like you said, they commit first and then figure the rest out later.
Yeah.
But that's pure bullshit, because if you commit to a massive job, you ain't got time to figure that out.
No,
do you know what I mean?
It's not in our game. No, definitely not.
No, definitely
and you'll be
not.
exposed very, very quickly.
Yeah. So I think I've kind of learnt off the wrong people,
mm-hmm.
because I don't live in America. I live in Northern Ireland, so it's like I need to be on the same level as Northern Ireland.
But I think rather than logistically, you're listening to guys or dealing with guys who are outside of our construction space,
mm-hmm.
and I think that's maybe the difference, where in other industries that might work. Well, I would obviously push that it's not, but we talked about how even that's like almost a sales tactic as well. Because look, I could have got you in here. I could have sat you down and I could have said, Nathan, go for this job, go for that job. And I could have stuck this camera in your face and said, Nathan, what size of jobs were you doing before now? Oh, 10 grand. Where are you now? Oh, 500,000. And that looks fantastic to everybody on here. Wow, I want to do that. But you'd have been walking outside and jumping in front of the first bus you could see because you were miserable. Do you know what I mean? Exactly, or you were skint. Yeah. So, what things look like on the outside, that's what people kind of go for. But for me, I'm heavily invested, obviously, in you, in your business, and I want to help you as a person more than just the vanity of the metrics of turnover and everything like that. So so did you kind of feel judged? Did you feel supported? Did you feel, because obviously there's been a lot of raised voices, even like, Nathan, fuck me, will you fucking listen, calm down,
Yeah.
But you did. Do you know what I mean? You did, and you took it on the chin. Are you glad? Like, are you glad that that's how that conversation did go? How do you think it would have went if that conversation hadn't happened? Or
sometimes in life you need to listen to those things you don't want to listen to. Do you know what I mean? And you need that kind of people in your life, because if someone's just going, yeah, you're doing a great job, you're doing good, keep going, you're just going to end up on the wrong path, and you're just going to think you're doing amazing, really or not. So you need someone to actually bring you off the high horse, bring you back down to earth, and for you to be told, and then it's up to yourselves then to listen or take it on the board, like you said, or just just be like, fuck him.
Yeah, well, that's it. And it's easy to do that. It's difficult to have those difficult conversations, but it's more difficult for you to take ownership and say, do you know what? Yeah, you're right, and listen and try and make the change. So, talking about those changes, you mentioned the systems, the processes, the resources that were available. They're all, to me, the easy stuff. They're quick and easy to execute. But we're talking a lot about you as a person, your personality, you as a business owner, you as a founder, you as an employee or an employer to your employees, and a leader as well. Let's talk about that. Like, again, 4 months.
Yep.
From throwing books. Then
I've got loads of books on the table, and damaged.
So but like, Lindsay's your partner, so obviously that's the relationship at home life and everything else. Like, we have had to do a lot of work as you as a founder. Again, I've sort of, wouldn't say slowed you down, but I've calmed you down. I've made you think differently, think clearer. So talk about that shift from you as a person.
Yeah, it's massive. Like, even the personal life, like, don't get me wrong, there's some blips now still.
Of course, like
but it's handling it. It's going back, like, the daily diary. Yes. Like, I live for that now.
Go back to the basics,
100%. And I always have now what went well today, what didn't, and what wasn't planned, what came up. And it's brilliant, because then once you do all that, you can actually then realize, right, that's the problem. Now let's let's fix that.
Yeah.
You know, it was like yesterday, it was absolutely carnage, but it was so easy for me then to control it. You know, my lads, they ripped the dough out, easy it done. I should have went there. You know, I actually held my hand up and said, yep, my fault, to the rep who didn't order the dough. And he said, no, it was mine. I said, yeah, but I should have checked it. You know, that's me taking responsibility. Before I'd have went, yeah, you're a dickhead. You should have done, you know what I mean? It's your fault, mate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like the panel was wrong. It wasn't even there. It wasn't even ordered. And the customer didn't want plywood, so I had to go out, act fast, go and get glass, change it, drop it off to the lads, and then everything in now has been ordered. It's getting fast tracked, and the panel's going to be here next week.
Yeah.
So it's like, if that was me in November, I would have probably just been screaming, shouting. Nothing would have probably got done, and I probably would have just stuck the plywood in and told the customer, you know, it is where it is, mate. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and again, taking ownership is one of the best things you can ever do, because it just, you know, it is my fault. Like, do you know what I mean?
100%. And like, talk me through that. You mentioned, like Lindsay's been fantastic, but the expectation of that, which is what most of our guys do, our clients, all the lads and all inside the program and stuff would do. We drop our misses into the business and expect them to run with it.
Yeah, like just throwing it deep end, swim.
Yeah. So talk us through that. Like, obviously, like Lindsay then had also came onto the program as with the business. She went through all the trainings. We coached her, done her a plan, everything what she needed. You know, again, you then as an employer, you look at things very differently now. Like, we had those conversations where you would have rang up about, you know, one of the fitters or one of the guys or the admin or Lindsay or anybody like that, and you'd have said, Mark, this is what's happening wrong, this is what she's doing wrong, this is what he's doing wrong. And I kind of shone the mirror up and was like, it's your fault.
Yeah, I know.
I know. How the fuck's it my fault? And I was like, because you dropped her in, you didn't explain it to her, and now you're able to see that for yourself, which is amazing. So, like, in 4 months, what's often like what is massive for me as a coach, mentor, as the consultant, like working with you, is that now you have the knowledge and the awareness to identify your own problems.
Yeah,
I don't have to tell you anymore. So it's like that's a massive learning curve, a massive level of awareness that's just completely flipped. And I think people underestimate that win. You know, that win of, like, you know, for me, like you always say about personal training, if you still need to be trained in the same exercises and whatever, yes, accountability to the side, but if you still don't go into the gym and don't know what to do, then you're not being coached very well. You should know exactly what you need to do because you've been coached well. So that to me is massive over everything else. How long had you been in business before coming on board?
So I started TLA Glazing in 2019. So I'd have been in business for that's nearly 7 years or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 years in total.
Yeah, and you came to me then only 4 months ago.
Yeah.
You built something quite substantial since then. Let's talk about the results even in 4 months from November to now, in terms of revenue, in terms of profit margin, in terms of like whatever you're doing. Obviously, you've came to me. You've completely now rebranded TLA Home Solutions. Talk us through that transition and where.
Yeah, TLA Home Solutions was like a literally an idea, but I'm so glad it's paid off, because I seen exactly what I was capable of doing, because I had the guys all around me.
Yeah.
So I knew I could deliver and I knew it'd work.
Yeah.
And yeah, TLA Home Solutions now we're flying, like with garage conversions, with bathrooms going on now, not only just windows. So it's more exciting, helping other homeowners. So the same customer now, instead of getting windows off us, they're getting other services, which they already trust us. So it makes sense to buy off us again and make sure then they're not going to get ripped off.
Yeah, and get that level of quality across. Yeah, so kind of like you are a guy that sees opportunity, and again, not getting distracted. Again, even that plan of going for that, you were like, I want to do this, want to do this, want to do this. And it's like, what? Hold on, like.
Yeah, there
how are
was
we doing
loads.
this? How are we doing that?
I don't know if the universe was testing me, but I had loads of opportunities running into me. It was like the clothing brand. And I was like, Mark, what do you think? No, mate, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I had loads coming at me. And I'm always like headhunted on that kind of way. And I'm a person that just can't say no. Mm-hmm. And again, listen to the wrong people. Never say no until you have to as such. But realistically, again, what I love about you plan it all out and then you say to yourself, nah, it's not worth it. Where I don't, I just go, yeah, that sounds awesome idea. And then, whether it's just, that's the way I live.
Well, that's it. Like, that's exactly what we've done. I said, well, let's talk about it. Let's bring it to the table. And then again, there's always that risk. You're asking other people, and people look for opinions, because they're waiting for somebody to agree with what they're saying. Like that's the reality. That's the psychology behind it. You'll ask everybody their opinion until you get somebody who agrees with it, and you go, brilliant, there you go. That's the answer I wanted to hear. But so yeah, we mapped it all out. And I said, well, if it makes sense, it makes sense, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So we done the numbers, we done how we're going to do it. We looked at the risks compared to, this is what you're doing now. This is going really well. The risk is that you take your eye off the ball, you lose focus, try and dilute your focus, and nothing works. What's your thinking on that now? Like, how do you? Is it still difficult for you?
No, not really. Now I know where I want to go. So I don't really need. I'm just closing out the distraction and the noise. And yeah, I'm just concentrating on now just growing TLA Home Solutions.
Yeah.
And even the other day when we were in the office, you were like, TLA Home Solutions, mate, do you do facial? And I'm like, no, mate. And you were like, you need to. Why? Because it's a home solution company.
Yeah.
And then that kind of then rung a bell. And then again, like, it was sitting right in front of me. The opportunity was my embroidery guy knew someone, and now he's doing the work for me. And then literally within a week, then a customer, I would have lost that job if I was able to do the fascia, and then I was able to say yes, we can do that, and then he ended up going with me.
And what was the value of that project?
So that was 10 grand.
And there's your investment paid back. And one bit of advice.
Straight away, exactly. Like
in one bit of advice, it's paid itself off
100%.
and more.
100%. Like this investment is just gonna, it's for life. Like, because it brings you, for anything you want to do in life, then you always have that system. You always have the knowledge. You always have everything. What we taught on the program and the mentorship. So it's like you can use it for anything. You know what I mean? So then the only problem for me is switching off at night. Like, I don't really watch, but I don't think I'll ever happen because I don't watch Netflix, I don't watch TV. So I enjoy learning. So if I can learn something to better myself, then I'm going to do that.
Yeah, well, look, I think that's the entrepreneurial brain in all of us. We all struggle to silence it, but at least the difference is now you're laying in bed thinking of things that you'd like to do rather than everything that's going wrong and what you can't do and what you're not, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of keeping you awake at night. But at least now that's not the case. What would you say to sort of summarize it all then? So let's talk about that journey again. So you've branded everything else. What about the juicy stuff that people want to hear in the business side of things? What about the margins? What about the revenue increase, and even your close rates and things like that? Let's go through some of the figures. So the closing rate, again, I wouldn't have known any about this, nothing whatsoever. So it's sitting at 51% at the minute. The revenue, like we were, I don't know where was that close rate even a few weeks ago when we looked at it?
I don't know. It was
in the low 30s, wasn't it?
Yeah, 30. But again, that wasn't me doing the right systems and qualification questions and having the right procedures in place, because I was just going, no worries, I'll call out to you, and this person didn't even have money. Do you know what I mean? So it's it's now giving me time back, slowing the pace down, making sure they qualify before I call out. And the revenue's brilliant. And one thing obviously I learned from myself is, ego is the turnover. I'd be a big turnover fan, but then now what we're doing is tracking the profit, and that's the most important one. And even now looking at that, it was like, we're on for a really good month, nearly a 6-figure this month alone. And it's like, right, what are our profits in the 6 figures? Because it's easy to make £100,000, but what actually are we making? And with our overhead percentages, like you went through, where it was 16%, you said that's lean, which is brilliant to hear. And obviously when we do our markups and stuff, so the company is profiting every month. So it's actually now, I'm able to look at that now and think, right, I could actually do another admin. I actually said to Lindsay yesterday, do you need help in this office? I could do kind of, right, let's look for bringing another admin in then, which then it's more cost, but it's going to be double the workload, which is going to be easy for both people in the office. And then I can then expand, because I've already have one more fitter guy now waiting to come on board with us.
So again, you've been able to have that foresight and make that decision, because we've broken down the numbers, the revenue that's came in, what of that is your overheads in order to keep the lights on, keep the business going, and what your margins are. Then you can also see if we increase this side of the business, it's going to increase the margin, the turnover, and everything else. So again, you're now in a position only within 4 months from having no idea what profit margins you have, no idea of your overheads, no tracking of even your revenue per month, nothing, to now being able to make decisions on hiring, team, and expansion based on your very finite margins of exactly what you're bringing in and what you're doing in 4 months.
I know.
And that's insane. That's a massive shift.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, that's what I'm saying. I would have only had 2 months if I did win with 6 months. So,
Yeah.
you know, the goal for me and the goal for everyone is I'm a green company, and I'm literally like, I'm 2 steps away. That's literally it. All I need is a sales guy, and then we just bring an operational manager in.
Yeah.
And that's it, done.
And again, all those decisions, that's something that a lot of people get stuck on. And even the call last night about, are you ready for scale? It was like, you know, being able to look at things as from a business and being able to make decisions again based on numbers. So you'll know that bringing that guy in frees this up for you. Because a lot of guys in business think, I need to bring in more work. I just need to bring in more work and make more money. But again, where's the money going? Are those jobs actually working? Are they profitable? Are we pricing jobs correctly? All of that stuff. And again, then making decisions based on facts and figures and metrics rather than just, you know, I think I need this. A lot of guys come in, I think I need an operations manager, I need a project manager.
Yeah.
But they don't know if they can afford them. They don't know what they're supposed to do when they come in. They're heavily reliant on people coming in and running things for them, even though there's nothing there to run with. So talk about that. Even like when you bring somebody in, what are they going to come into now compared to what they would have come into?
Well, they would have come into chaos. Like, they would have just been like, what's going on? And they would have probably said, don't go to TLA Home Solutions. That is crazy. That is hectic. But now, like, we have the right systems in place. Like, I could be comfortable bringing anyone in now because, you know, they could just be following everything what
Here's
we do.
exactly what you need to do.
Yeah,
100%.
And now, even though we didn't even do before, we're now booking a month ahead. So before, it would have been chaos. But now, so Lindsay now is booking. So we ordered jobs yesterday. They're already getting booked in now for April, May.
Yeah.
So I now know a forecast of how much work we've got in and how much then I need to do, how much I need to sell to keep my lads into work, which is really good because again, I'm more insight in the business, which is fantastic.
You can make those decisions,
exactly.
with confidence. 100%. What about, you mentioned about the 16-hour days as well. We've talked about the finances. What about your time now? Like, you're sitting here in a studio, same as what Dan was as well, that we talked about the other week. But talk about things, your time, how you're spending your time, what you're doing with yourself now with the business, and what your aspirations are here for the next, you know, however 8 months, although this is going to continue. But, you know, talk
100%.
about that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just about growing the business now. And like you said, with more time on my hands, like, it's mental because, see, sometimes I come home at night, I'm like, what do I do? I'm bored. Do you know what I mean? Normally I'm used to going for this. Like, now Lindsay's doing a tax and all, so I'm like, literally, I don't even have to do anything. I'm just basically looking and finding it's like, I'm not used to this, but it's brilliant. And it gives me more time now to actually think, right, what do I need to do to the business? How do I grow the business? What can we do next? Like, we are looking for a premises at the minute.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, I feel like once I get this premises, that's when we're going to blow.
Yeah,
and
you're thinking of expanding the showroom, things like that. And again, we put a plan together for that. We done all the numbers. We ran the numbers to see where, obviously playing devil's advocate, I challenge you on everything.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. So that's kind of next. But, you know, that's great feedback. I'm sure there's a lot of construction business owners, trades guys listening to this going, I'd love to be bored at that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, come home and think, the fuck the other night.
It is mental, yeah. And again, we touch base on Dan. Like, Dan actually said that. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, this is what I love. And now I am now Dan.
Yeah.
4 months into it. So I'm actually enjoying it. Like, I'm able to have more time. Like you said today, like the lads are working today now. I'm able to pick my boy up here today at 1 o'clock, go out and enjoy this amazing weather. And you know, that's everyone's dream. You know, just don't want to be stuck in the rut of your business, where now I'm out of the business and I'm now able to grow the business.
Yeah, well, that's often what you hear. A lot of the feedback from, obviously I speak to so many trading construction business owners every day, every week, and it's like, you know, sometimes I feel like it'd be better going back and working for somebody, starting at 8 o'clock, finishing 4 o'clock, and don't have to worry about it. But essentially, that's what we've done with you in 4 months.
Well, that's the whole point.
You're now able to go and do a day's work and dictate what you do every day, and then go home and not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So
exactly, yeah. But it's you know, that's exactly what happens when people go into business. They think to themselves, right, I've had enough of working 8 to 5. But what actually happens, you don't just work at 8 to 5. You start working to 8 to 9, and then you feel like to yourself that you need to do it now because it's your business and you want to give your family a future.
Yep.
You know, it's like my boy, I touched base before. on my YouTube channel that, you know, when my boy was younger, he was a baby, like I was working, like I was like Miss Rabbit. I was working all sorts of taking deliveries, fitting. I never saw him at all. So it's actually good now. My boy's coming up at 7, and I'm able to say now I get to spend loads of time with him.
Yeah.
I'm glad I done that then, but if I didn't join the program, I wouldn't be able to. There was times I couldn't pick my boy up in nursery because it was mental, my diary, everything I was trying to do again. Still, the company was growing too quick for me to handle. So again, it would have been out of control. So like you said, they like more time in my hands. I've, you know, I can go for a nice massage today if I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like while my lads are working out in this weather, like it's brilliant.
Insane, yeah.
You can just do whatever you want, like.
Yeah. And did you think that was going to be possible? I know you're a really ambitious guy, obviously, and again, what you've achieved in 4 months, it's not unheard of. There's been a couple of other guys who've done things pretty quick, but I think, you know, it didn't just happen by itself. You obviously had to put the graft in. So let's be real about it. Like you're one of these guys who puts the work in.
Yeah, you have to.
You know, you took it on board. You've done everything you needed to do. But you know, again, the effort versus the output of what you've got out of it, you know, is fantastic. So I suppose we could summarize it and ask you the question: do you think you made the right decision on coming on board?
No. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like 100%. Like the proof's in the pudding. Like we are absolutely flying now, and I really cannot wait to see, you know, what the future holds at TLA Home Solutions, because now I'm with Construction Blueprint. I do believe, like, you know, we could take over Northern Ireland. If I was saying that 4 months before, that's just me lying, because I have no systems, I have nothing. But the way things are
you
going,
didn't actually believe it was possible.
Exactly,
you said it, but you didn't actually believe it. Yeah,
like it was yesterday. Now we actually got a kitchen guy, and then it turns out now he does bathrooms, he does plumbing, does everything. I literally walked into Howden's and said, "Give me your best business, give me your best kitchen fitter you have. I don't want any headaches anymore. Just give me the best one." And they give me the good one. They were like, "Oh, he's really expensive. Don't care. I want the best." And I rung him. He was in Spain there, and arranged a meeting now for next week. So even at that, you know, everything's falling on the plate for me now. We've obviously, like I said, we do the hard work every Tuesday, the Zoom calls, you know, executing everything that what you're putting in place for me. So it's finally now paying off. So 100%, I recommend this for anyone.
And what would you say to somebody who's maybe on the fence or hasn't? Maybe someone thinks that they're doing all right, like you did. You were like, you know what, you didn't know what needed fixed. Because I speak to a lot of guys and like, I know I'm just not happy, but I don't know what it is. Like, what would you say to somebody who's sitting on the fence? Like someone like you were, that hesitation. What would you say to somebody in the same position as you then?
Well, you took the risk going into business, so why not take the risk? And it's not even a risk, it's an investment. Yeah. So just invest in yourself, and working with you will 100% change their lives.
Yeah, and get that return.
Definitely.
ASAP.
100%. Like they'll have it within a month, because they'll start to find time with their family, and then start to realize exactly what the business is. Is it profitable? Yeah. And then they can, and then if it's not, you're the man to make it profitable. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. So just to close it out, then, everything we talk about in the construction business blueprint is obviously earned. You know, you've done the work, and you've got the results. You know, time, profit, control, the pillars that we talk about. And you didn't come in here obviously broken. You came in here, you know, thinking you were doing well. But what changed then was your awareness, the clarity, the structure, the ownership, leadership, even with the team, and again in 4 months. So unbelievable, and that's absolutely all the credit to you. You did all the work. You know, I just guided you along with it, and again, a lot of tough conversations, but you took it in the chin.
Absolutely, yeah,
so
you have to.
you. But yeah, look, appreciate you coming in.
100%.
And yeah, look forward to continuing to work together.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.